Well, hey there, oldies. Welcome to That Old Soul Show, or as I like to call it, Toss. I'm your host, Sarah McVicker, here to. Okay, starting over. I can't hear myself in the headphones. Well, hey there, oldies. Welcome to That Old Soul Show, or as I like to call it, Toss. I'm your host, Sarah McVicker, here to celebrate timeless tunes, iconic videos, and groundbreaking films. This is the show for the old souls with fresh takes, diving into the classics we love and the visionary art that made us feel something. So grab your headphones, turn up the volume, and let's vibe through the rhythms, reels, and stories that make life unforgettable. Welcome to That Old Soul Show. Well, hey again, everyone. Hold on. Mm-mm. Well, hey again, everyone. I'm so excited and grateful that you guys are here. And I want to apologize. I know it's been quite a little minute since I have posted any episodes. And I have to apologize. I have been ripping and running, which is not an excuse. I love being a little busy, but I neglected you guys and I neglected the show and my recording schedule, which is very important. And although at the same time, I was also working on the show because it takes a lot for me to research topics and I just want to give you guys good content and I want to get my facts right. Now I understand there may be a day where some stuff might not be correct. However, I apologize for that in advance, but I do my best so that that does not happen. But in turn, I also got really sick. So, lesson of today of life, listen to your body because if you don't take time for yourself, your body will force you to take time for yourself. So, doing all that ripping and running, although it felt good in the moment, it really was to my detriment. So, I was a little under the weather, but we're back and better than ever. And I have a couple more episodes for y'all before we wrap up this season. And so I'm really excited about today's topic. We are talking about albums that are no skip albums or even constantly on repeat for me. But of course, before we get into that, y'all know I have a little game, a little trivia for y'all. So the question for today is, as if is a famous line from what movie? Is it Pretty Woman, Never Been Kissed, Clueless, or Jerry Maguire? You have to stick around until the end to figure out the answer. But let's turn it over to what I have been tuning into. And I have been super excited to talk about the Grammys with y'all because the Grammys is my Super Bowl. The Grammys is, I don't want to say it's my Oscar. I do enjoy watching the Oscars every now and then, although, eh, eh. But you're a filmmaker. Well, music. Isn't that really primarily what y'all are here for? The music? I mean, yes, we talk about films a little bit, but we're primarily here for the music. And so for me, the Grammys is my show. The Grammys means so, so much to me. Like, I stay off of social media. I don't want to text anybody. I don't want anybody calling me. I am locked in, okay? Because I want to know how they're producing it. I want to see the performances. The performances. And yes, we're about to get into the performances because, baby, the Grammys was actually pretty good this year. And, you know, for Black History Month, baby, we was sleeping some of them categories, okay? Don't be bad. Don't be bad. It's just truth. It's just truth. No shade. But yeah, so I normally am not someone who cares for spoilers. I'm a writer, I'm a filmmaker. Like, you really can't spoil a movie for me. You can tell me how it ends, and I'm either going to watch it and have the same reaction you did, or I'm not. And I'm just going to be like, oh, okay. I figured that's what was going to happen. Like, you can't really spoil a movie for me or a TV show. But an award show, and especially the Grammys, nope. I don't know. Don't tell me nada. Don't tell me anything. I don't want to know. I'm going to find out for myself. Okay. Now that would really irritate me if somebody spoiled the Grammys for me. I'm going to look at you cross-eyed and crazy. But with that being said, I do want to share some of my favorite performers. First off, Sabrina Carpenter. Seeing her glow up has been so amazing. Like, the fact that she was so underrated for a very long time. And because I remember when I was doing a internship with Seacrest Studios under the Red Balloon Network. Takes place in a hospital, children's hospital to be exact. And we would always play I believe it's called Why. So we would play that a lot. And, that got me into a lot of her other music. So now that she's finally more mainstream, it's really exciting. And I have to say, like, her performance was so funny and lighthearted. And I love how she even paid tribute to Goldie Hawn. At least I believe that was Goldie Hawn, a Goldie Hawn tribute. I feel like I've seen that somewhere before. And then I thought it was really clever how she did a verse of Please, Please, Please before going back to Espresso. So it was like, I'm going to give you a little taste, no pun intended, but hey, she won. So I guess all puns intended. And it was just a really fun performance. And I feel like the glitz and the glamour of Hollywood, or old Hollywood rather, never really gets boring in my eyes because people always find a way to make it new and fresh and still relevant. And I think that we need that. We need a reminder of old Hollywood, the glitz and the glamour, not, of course, the mistreatment and all of that. And of course, we don't get into that on this channel. And if you're watching, sidebar, if you're watching on my YouTube channel, starring SC McV, hi, welcome. If you're new here, I thank you. I'm glad you found me. Please subscribe, like, share, all those things. Join the fellow oldies over here. But anyway, back to the original programming. Another performer who, I'm telling you right now, I have to see this woman in concert. I have wanted to see this woman in concert. Concert? I think I said that right. It sounded weird in my head. Since Yucky Bucky Fruitcake. Okay. And excuse my French, because I really try to be very professional and like with it. But bitch, I love me some Doechii, okay? First of all, I expect nothing less than a great, stellar performance from start to finish. You can just tell with every performance that she's dedicated and she pays attention to every little detail, and she reinvents herself and the performance and the arrangement every single time she gets on that stage. And that's why she won. But okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Another stellar performance, and another person who I've talked about on this channel quite a bit, Ray. I saw somebody on TikTok called her the sober Amy Winehouse, and I about lost it. Because why? Why? It's just rude. Is it though? I don't know. It felt weird. It felt weird to hear that. Like, sober Amy Winehouse got up in there and she sang it down. And I was like, well, I can agree with you on some of that. I don't know if I can agree with you on all of that. Two definitely different artists. Though, yes, they're both British. Yes, they both like the jazziness. It was just a weird comment. But she wasn't wrong for saying it. Can't remember her name. Saw it in passing on my For You page and kept scrolling. But just thought that was hilarious. Again, I waited because here's the thing. I was trying to get home to watch the Grammys on time because, again, I take it very seriously. I get my snacks, I get my drinks. I'm zoned in, I'm locked in. This year, I was doing too much, right? Like I said earlier. And I was like 30 minutes late. So I was like watching it on Paramount and I was 30 minutes behind. And because they were showing it live, I didn't get to see the first 30 minutes. So I had to wait to the following day when they uploaded it or like put it up there to watch the first 30 minutes to get back to where I was. And I realized I had just missed Doechie's performance and, of course, Sabrina's. But I stayed off of TikTok and social media. When I tell you I'm serious about it. I stayed off of it until I was caught up. So it wasn't until the following day I saw that TikTok. So I have a lot of sidebars for y'all today. I just haven't talked to y'all in a long time, so you're just going to have to just go with it, I guess. But anyway, back to Ray. Another performer who I really, 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 really want to see in concert. She's just got a beautiful voice and she's just a true musician, okay? Like her arrangements are always so fresh and jazzy. And I don't know why, but I love the fact that she performs barefoot. Like the past few performances I've seen her do, she's been barefoot. And I'm not sure why she does that, but I know for me, I enjoy being barefoot. I'm barefoot right now. I've tried those like barefoot shoes. Not crazy about them, but they're fine. I enjoy being barefoot. And I think it's because for me, now I can't speak for Ray, but I think for me, it makes me feel grounded and reminds me to be present in the moment. So that's why I enjoy being barefoot. But can we talk about the note at the end? I was like, okay, oh, okay, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Because, whoa, the way she held breath control, baby. That's something, even for me, I'm constantly working on for anything vocal performance related, whether I'm singing or I'm here with you guys. Like, I take it very seriously. I want to be able to hold a note that long. I can hold a note pretty long. Okay, not to toot my own horn, but maybe a little bit. Beef yourself up. But that was just stellar. It was a stellar performance. And yeah, she's on my concert bucket list. Like, must see her one day. Moving on, I really enjoyed the Quincy Jones tribute. First of all, Stevie Wonder always and will always have beautiful words to say, and his performance was just so heartfelt. There's not much else I can say. If he ever did a show in Vegas, or if he, went to the casino in Oklahoma, I would drive that far to Oklahoma. Nothing against Oklahoma. It's just y'all know why I'm not going to say it. For the people who know, they know. Nothing against Oklahoma. They have a pretty good venue. So, I mean, I've had the pleasure of seeing Diana Ross there. So, and who else did I see? I think I saw Cat Williams as well. So it's a good venue. So if Stevie Wonder ever wanted to tour again, I would love to see him. And so I say all that to say, he was captivating. He's always so captivating. Cynthia Erivo, Madam Cynthia Erivo. First of all, singing one of my all-time favorite songs, top 5 favorite songs. I was speechless. I had to find the words to say other than absolutely stellar. Okay. The beginning, the fact that she was able to start so slow, but like keeping it jazzy and then elevating it at the end, it was just chef's kiss. Like I I don't I don't know how you sing that song any other way if you're reinventing it for a tribute. I mean, I just and prayerfully this is the year that she becomes an EGOT winner. I think I already thought she was an EGOT winner. So when I found out she was missing, what is it? She's missing an Oscar, I believe. So fingers crossed, prayers up, good vibes only. Like, and because come on, why would you not give it to Wicked? It's Wicked. It's what? But I'm not a part of the Academy yet. So manifesting. But all of that to say, her performance was just beautifully done. And since the Grammys, I think I've watched that like 3 or 4 times. I'm determined to learn it so I can sing it. Like I want to do it. I want to do it. And then of course, we had to end with the spectacular float singer. Okay, Miss Janelle Monáe. Well, actually, I don't know if those are their pronouns, so forgive me. I'm sorry. Janelle Monáe, they did a Michael Jackson performance and had every move precise and down pat. So the Quincy Jones ensemble tribute performance was well thought out. They really took their time to pick people who would do it justice. And overall it was a great tribute. And the other thing I saw on TikTok was the Grammys was very black this year. I thought that was hilarious because of the Quincy Jones performance, Doechii winning, which we're about to get into the winners here in a moment. You know, Beyoncé winning, Alicia Keys getting, I forget what the name of that award is, but I thought it was funny, but also very true. Very true. So now moving on to the winners, let me pull up the winners on my phone so that we can see and I can get it right. I already have some of them, of course, off the top of my head, but I'll go through a few categories that I liked. That here's the other thing. So I pride myself in being, I'm going to say 8 to 9 times out of 10 correct when choosing the winner. I don't know. I think I have a knack for it. The only 2 that I was wrong on, although in my heart of hearts, I knew she was going to win, but at the same time, I was prepared for her not to win. And that, of course, is Beyoncé. And we'll get into her a little bit later. But first of all, and this is no disrespect to any other nominees in the category, Doechii deserved Best Rap Album for Alligator Bites Never Heal. First of all, it was a mixtape. And then mama got up there and said, focused on my sobriety, and the Lord said he would bless me or reward me, and did. Okay, and did. And it shows, and it's I got a little emotional during her speech because it was well deserved. She deserved to win. She deserved the accolade. Like, and again, no offense to anybody else, I didn't see anybody else taking that home. I really didn't. Let's see, we've got Not Like Us sweeping all 5 categories. Yeah, I already figured that. I already knew that was going to happen. Best New Artist, Chappell Roan. I will say I got that one right as well, because I was stuck between Sabrina Carpenter and Chappell Roan, but I had a feeling. I was like, they both had really big years, but I just kind of had a feeling Chappell Roan was going to take it. And she did. And then, she got up there and was talking about healthcare and facts. Facts. I don't even know the logistics of that, or like how that would work. Somebody in the comments, please let me know how that works. If that's logical. Actually, it is logical. I'm not saying it's not logical. I guess, yeah, I just logistically don't know how that would work. And what's stopping them from doing that? Yeah. And then, of course, Short and Sweet takes it home for pop vocal album. We love that. Music video, Not Like Us. Now, I will say this. I knew that was going to win. But if I remember the other videos that were in that category, I believe Taylor Swift by A$AP Rocky was nominated in that category. And we've talked about that video before in the Surrealism episode. So if you haven't checked that one out, please go back and check it out. Compared to the other videos on that list, I probably would have picked Taylor Swift, because that music video is just stellar. That's the word of the day, okay? Stellar. Take a drink of water or whatever your poison is. Every time I say stellar, if you haven't already started that. I would have picked that, but I knew that wasn't going to win. Like, let's be for real. Once K. Dot won like 2 or 3 others, I was like, oh, he's about to sweep all of them. I already figured. Not surprising, well deserved. I wasn't crazy about the music video. I like it. And as Kendrick Lamar is one of my favorite rappers of all time. I'm not mad at it. I just, music video wise, because that is the cornerstone, I would say, of this show, I don't know if it deserved a Grammy. Oh my God, cancel her. She just gave her opinion on the internet. It was a very good music video, don't get me wrong. And nothing against the song or the music video. And it won, and it deserved to win. But of course, all the nominees deserve to win. Of course, there can only be one winner. I think for me, my question is like, why did he win other than it being the song that it was? You know what I mean? That's really what I'm getting at. Nothing against the music video, nothing against the art form. I just really wanted something else. You know what I mean? So that for me, in a nutshell, not mad at it, just thought it was an interesting choice. Let's see who else is on here. We've got Charlie XCX winning for Best Dance Pop Album for Brat. Well deserved. Did think that that was a really good album. Let's see. That's pretty much it. So let's just get into Beyoncé. So, not the texting and me going, okay, cool. Let's move on. Beyoncé. So here's the thing, right? When I tell you I am decently good at picking the winners, I am really pretty darn good at picking the winners. And in my heart of hearts, I wanted to pick her. And I was like, Beyoncé, but I don't think it's going to be Beyoncé because no one believes that it's a country album, blah, 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 blah. All these things going on in my head, right? When I tell you her winning country album and album of the year was so unexpected but needed all at the same time because she made such a statement with Cowboy Carter. And I mean, Linda Martell, come on. There's a special place in my heart for the first. And Linda Martell and her story, this woman was performed at the Grand Ole Opry like 13 or 16 times, something like that. She performed there a lot, okay? A lot, okay? So, and being the first of anything has always been amazing to me. But I gotta say, her face, Beyonce's face was my face. And of course, now it's probably going to be a meme for the rest of all days. But when she won, my jaw hit the floor because I thought that it was, who else was in that category? I think I thought for a second it was going to be either Lainey Wilson. Who should she nominate? No, who am I thinking of? Oh, dear God, I'm so sorry. Casey Musgraves, another Texan. I thought it was going to be her or like someone else. I just was like, no, they're not going to give it to Beyonce. In my mind, I picked Beyonce as the winner. And so in that respect, I got it right. Although I said out loud, because I'll always say it out loud before they announce it. And I was like, Casey Musgraves or whatever I said. But I was like, I didn't believe it. And I was just like, no offense to her. That album, what is it? Deeper Well, great album. That I have listened to that on repeat. So kudos. But what I wasn't expecting, although I guess I should have, was the hate train that followed. Now, I'm not going to get into the Pacifics? That's an ocean, Sarah. Okay, specifics. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of the hate train. And it really shouldn't have been surprising to me because, you got people left and right saying it's not a country album. While I hear what they're saying, here's the thing for me with Cowboy Carter. Beyoncé herself said it was not a country album. It's a Beyoncé album. Okay, fine. You've made your point there for everyone who wants to argue that it is not. Maybe it is not your definition of pure George Strait, Keith Urban, Jason Aldean country. But it definitely has country influences. And so for me, that is why I have to say, I think it's one of my favorite Beyoncé albums. And I love that she won Album of the Year for this album and for Cowboy Carter in particular, because used to say I spoke too country. Then the rejection came and said I wasn't country enough. Huh. That right there lets you know I don't give a damn. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for the history of country music, and I'm doing this as a rebellious act, if you will. And I appreciated that she won. I know some people believe she should have won Album of the Year for Lemonade, and that was a damn good album as well. But this, Cowboy Carter, and I do want to go to the concert. I'd be lying if I said I didn't. I went to Renaissance, so if I don't get to go to this one, I'll be sad, but I'll survive. Also, too, because I'm curious how she's going to do this tour. Renaissance, of course, was dance and all of that. This album feels more like a listening album to me, where you just kind of sit and you're in it. Although I would argue songs like Spaghetti, I would love to see her perform that live because whoo-hoo. But I say all that to say, I'm really happy that she won, and that she won it for an album that she's been working on for years. Time and dedication. And people want to talk about how many writers and how many people were credited on the album. Do you know how many people it takes to make a movie? And then the producer gets to take home the most coveted award at the end of the night. So really and truly, by honorary stance, them 51 writers and credits just won a Grammy. You know, maybe they don't have it in their house, but like they kind of got a little bit of bragging rights. You know what I mean? So all y'all can be mad. All y'all can be mad. And I'll say this boldly. And please, Beehive, don't sting me. I'm kind of new to Beyonce, if I'm being totally honest. My favorite artist of all time is, of course, my queen, Mariah Carey. And that's nothing against Beyonce. That's just who I grew up with, who I resonated with more. But then I was able to go to school, and I was able to find my tribe. And they really and truly introduced me to Beyonce in a different light, because I never had that experience. I primarily went to all white schools, all right? Nothing wrong with that. That's just my story. And so experiencing Renaissance with my tribe of people and getting to experience Beyonce in a different light, I'm more into Beyonce than I was a few years ago. I already knew she had a spectacular voice. I already knew she was amazing, and I wasn't discrediting her for that. But for me, I've only recently been kind of a little simmeringly obsessed with Beyonce. So for me, I wouldn't consider myself a part of the Beehive. I'm just an admirer of Beyonce, and I'm an admirer of her work ethic. And I feel like if there's not already, there should be a business class on just how Beyonce is so successful. That to me is inspiring. And so that's another reason why I've really appreciated being able to be in this new era of Beyonce. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I just went on a whole Beyonce rant. Okay. Well, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. But that is what I have been listening to. That's what I was tuned into. Booty in the seat. If you watch the Grammys, please tell me your thoughts. I want to know. I want to finish this discussion, am I in the hive? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I definitely don't want to ruffle any feathers or anything of that nature. So I just wanted to say my piece. Okay, I'm sorry. But let's spin the record back. Let's deep dive into the history of paparazzi. I think that this is a fitting little history segment for us, considering that we just had the Grammys. So, we're going to talk about how they started all the way to what they can and cannot do in a legal sense. So, you could say paparazzi, these individuals are like spies with their cameras and they have to be stealthy, and they've been a part of the celebrity culture for decades. But of course, where do they come from? Why do they love stalking celebrities? And what are the rules that they are allowed to follow? So, the birth of paparazzi. The term paparazzi has its roots in Italy, and I apologize. That was a horrible, horrible, horrible failed attempt at an Italian accent. I don't even know why I did that. Sorry. Noted. Won't do that again. Anyway, so it comes from this 1960s photographer named Papa Razzi. And he was essentially introduced in the film La Dolce Vita, 1960s, of course, directed by Federico Fellini, someone we have spoken about before on this channel a little bit. I would love to do a deep dive on some of these older film directors from back in the day because I love the old films, and I especially love European films and just international films in general. But in the film, Razzi, of course, is a freelance photographer, and he takes candid shots of celebrities without their permission. So essentially, the name paparazzi comes from this character. Now, of course, in the 50s and the 60s, we had the rise of paparazzi that also exploded with films like Rebel Without a Cause with James Dean and Breakfast at Tiffany's with Audrey Hepburn. And of course, making these Hollywood stars into these larger than life figures. Photographers saw a golden opportunity, and they knew that they could make a lot of money by capturing these intimate, unguarded moments of these stars. And so thus, a new career was born. So how did paparazzis get their fame? So essentially, how did they become the phenomenon that we know today? So in the 1980s and 90s, that was probably the biggest year for the paparazzi industry. Celebrities like Princess Diana, Madonna, and of course, Britney Spears were brought into the limelight. Their lives were full blast into the spotlight, into the camera, okay? And what made things even more interesting was the rise of tabloid journalism. So, figure these huge gossip magazines that had these exorbitant appetites for scandalous celebrity photos. One that I remember back in the day when I was growing up was Perez Hilton. He was a big one when I was young. He was a pretty big one. And then, of course, we also have to remember when the photographers relentlessly pursued Princess Diana. And she's a great example of how the paparazzi started pushing boundaries. Tragically, of course, Princess Diana died in a car crash in 1997 while trying to escape from pursuing paparazzi. So, this is kind of the incident that sent shockwaves throughout the world and highlighted just how invasive the paparazzi had become. But the paparazzi, of course, was not going anywhere, okay? In fact, the internet and social media made them even more relevant. And today, platforms like Instagram, X, and TikTok, they give us these instant access to photos of celebrities and sometimes taken by amateur photographers who just want to be a part of the public, okay? Paparazzi culture exploded as a result of this digital revolution. So, what can and can't the paparazzi do? All right, so let's get into the rules. Paparazzi, let me take it back a second. I believe, because of Princess Diana's tragic car accident, I think that's when people really started to start the conversation of the legality and what is permissible. Okay, so paparazzi, they're not free to do whatever they want just because they have a camera in their hand. There are legal lines that they cannot cross. And even if their goal is to snap the most famous photo ever, in many places, paparazzi laws are designed to protect celebrities from harassment while also balancing the freedom of the press. So, what can they do? They can, of course, take photos, public photos. As long as the celebrity is in a public space, the paparazzi are allowed to take pictures of them. So, think red carpet events like we just had at the Grammys, other public events, or even walking down the street. That is a public space. Now, if a celebrity goes to a public event like a concert or a football game, paparazzi can be there to snap photos as long as they're in that public space. And of course, the goal is to sell their photos to the tabloids or magazines. So once they get those shots, the paparazzi sells them, and the value of the photo of the star caught doing something unexpected can be sky high. So there is a pay scale. The amount varies on what they get paid for a single photo, and it includes a number of factors. So you've got the exclusivity of the photo, the celebrity involved, the context of the photo, and how much demand there is for it. So some rough estimates. They have basic photos, so standard non-exclusive shots like a celebrity out on a casual stroll, where they might earn anywhere from $100 to $500 per photo. These are the types of shots that might be sold to celebrity gossip magazines or online tabloids. Now, exclusive shots, if the photo is exclusive, meaning it's sold only to one outlet, the photographer can earn an even higher fee. These photos go anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000 or more, depending on the situation. Exclusive shots are usually more valuable because they guarantee that no other outlet will have the same photo, of course, making them more desirable. High-profile shots are when a photographer captures a rare or dramatic moment, such as a celebrity caught in a scandalous situation or emotional moment or major life event. So getting arrested, breaking up with someone, or even a wedding. And for these photos, the paparazzi can earn up to $20,000 or more, actually, for the image. And in extreme cases, such as the photos of Princess Diana or other big stars during major events, prices skyrocket even more, with photos going up to $100,000. Now, there's difficult or even dangerous shots. Sometimes the paparazzi might take photos in risky situations like chasing a celebrity down or sneaking into private areas. And when I thought about this in my research, I thought of Shia LaBeouf because he is not here for it when it comes to the paparazzi. But these photos can sometimes result in even higher payouts because of the difficulty and danger involved. So it's clear that while a paparazzis or paparazzos, I believe that's the plural, their paycheck can range from modest to very lucrative. It often depends on timing, exclusivity, and the celebrity involved. But what can they not do? They cannot stalk or invade privacy. The paparazzi is not allowed to follow the celebrity into private spaces like their home or private property without permission. So this means no hiding in the bushes or following them to their cars. They're also not allowed to trespass. So, if they go on that private property, like the celebrity's home, that is illegal. Just like how we have laws to keep people from breaking into our homes, celebrities get that protection too. Why? Because they are people. They're still human beings. They just have a lot of fame, acclaim, and money. Okay? Okay. But they still go to the bathroom the same as we do. Okay? They still pay bills like we do. Okay? And they still bleed red like we do. Okay? Okay. Still human beings. Still human beings. So just, boundaries. That's really the case in point. Boundaries. Okay? No trespassing. They're also not allowed to use drones inappropriately. So while drones are amazing for taking photos from above, it can't be used to invade someone's privacy. Celebrities have filed lawsuits over drones being used to capture them in their private moments. So, like, somebody just, chilling by their pool, and you got a little drone coming overhead, snap, snap, illegal. No, lawsuit, not happening. Not happening. Another thing they can't do, of course, is harass or cause distress. So if a photographer's actions are deemed harassing, like blocking someone's car so they can't get out, shouting things at them, or even making them feel threatened, they can face legal consequences. Now, for me, this is where the lines are a bit blurred in my head because I feel like we see this all the time, especially the yelling at them. They're just trying to walk to their car and, hey, Brittany, over here, snap, 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 over here. Now that, of course, is most of the time in a public space. And you'll see it. I remember seeing it with Megan Thee Stallion's, she was walking to court in that beautiful, I think it was a Mugler suit. Oh, sexy. Purple. I believe it was Mugler. If not, I'm sorry. I like fashion, but I'm not a fashion girly. Those are two different things. And then also recently for A$AP Rocky's, going to court, they're shouting at him. So that is, I would say, deemed harassment. No, right? So that to me is where the legal lines do get a bit blurred because even though you're on a public space, you're still harassing. So make it make sense. But it is what it is. And that's just the paparazzi for you. And that's why I think a lot of celebrities don't particularly care for the paparazzi. Now, the legal battles, right? So if you're thinking, wait, if they're allowed to take pictures in public, what's the problem? Well, like we just kind of talked about, you're right to ask that. But of course, here's the thing. Celebrities have the right to file lawsuits for things like harassment, distress, or emotional damage. One major shift happened in the 2000s when states like California introduced the anti-paparazzi law. It gave celebrities more power to fight back, and the law made it illegal to photograph celebrities with the intent to sell the images if the subject was in a situation where they expected privacy, like, of course, their car, their home, or at a private event. And in 2009, the California State Assembly even passed a bill known as Assembly Bill 524, which made it illegal for the paparazzi to aggressively pursue celebrities with the intent of causing emotional distress. So there again, we've got that Princess Diana thought. And if the paparazzi violates that, they could face fines or even jail time. Now, let's zoom out and think about the bigger picture. Paparazzi has definitely changed how we view fame, privacy, and celebrity. On the one hand, they've allowed us to be a part of the lives of our favorite stars, to see moments behind the scenes that we'd never really get to see otherwise. But on the other hand, they've made celebrities feel like they're constantly being watched or chased. And it raises the questions about where to draw the line between the public's right to know and the individual's right to privacy. And I think that that's why a lot of celebrities tend to have a lot more private lives. But let's be real for a second. The world of paparazzi can be a bit of a circus. It's a mix of thrilling drama, legal chaos, and sometimes even ethical dilemmas. It's not just about taking photos. It's about how those photos shaped our culture, how they tell stories, and how they influence public opinion. So the next time you see a celebrity on the cover of a tabloid or a shocking paparazzi photo online, just remember the fascinating history behind it. Remember, the term paparazzi isn't just some random word. It's linked to a moment in cinema history and has evolved into a worldwide phenomenon. And while it's important to capture the public life of celebrities, there's always a fine line between what's fair game and what's an invasion of privacy. So think about this. Should celebrities have the same right to privacy as anyone else? I mean, I think so. But what do you think? How much is too much when it comes to our desire for the latest celebrity gossip? That's a question we'll keep asking, but one thing's for sure. The paparazzi is here to stay. So that was our spin the record back history lesson. Now we're going to get into the old soul segment of today. Today, we are talking about no skip albums. No skips. I'm talking first track to the last track, and there's no need to feel like, oh, I don't want to hear this song. No, that is not the goal. So for today's episode, we're going to stick primarily in the R&B pop lane, since that's really and truly what I've kind of been listening to these days. So first on the list, because y'all know I have like 5 for y'all. Sometimes I'll have 5, sometimes I'll have 10. So I will say this is probably part 1 of this episode because I have more than 5. But for the sake of time, I wanted to just give you all 5. So, and if you're still watching, thank you so much. I love you. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Okay? Listen. Okay. Okay. Love for you to join the oldies train, all right? We are proud oldies over here. So, the first one I have for y'all today is Anti by Rihanna. Listen, and the fact that she just celebrated 9 years since she gave us this album. Now, here's my hot take. I am patiently waiting for another album. But if Mama don't give it to us, I must say this was a great album to end on, okay? I think I'll be fine. I can only speak for me. I think I'll be fine. So this album came out in 2016 and it was her 8th studio album, arriving just 4 years after her previous album, Unapologetic. And you could tell it was a notable shift in her sound and creative direction. When I think of the sound and the style, she definitely was like pushing aside her dance pop roots that we know her for. And Anti just exploded and explored this moody R&B alternative pop, and she even gave us a few soulful ballads. Now, the production is, of course, a little bit more minimalist than her previous records, but it allowed her vocals and personal storytelling to take center stage. Lyrically, the album explores themes of self-reflection, emotional vulnerability, and empowerment. And Rihanna presents a more introspective side with tracks touching on love, heartbreak, independence, and even personal growth. Her artistic freedom really flourished, and she mentioned in a lot of interviews that Anti was her opportunity to create music that she wanted to listen to, free from commercial expectations. And I think that's why, for me, this is my favorite Riri album. She focused on authenticity and experimentation, and she was seeking to push her artistic boundaries and her artistic pen. And the album's lyrics and sonic choices were influenced by her desire for this self-expression and creating a raw and intimate energy. Now, of course, she had some standout singles. Work, featuring Drake, quickly topped charts worldwide, while Needed Me and Kiss It Better and Love on the Brain also garnered significant airplay. Now, she definitely had some music videos for the same standout singles. And I don't want to get too heavy into the visuals on today's episode. I do just want to focus on the albums and focus solely on the music. But I will say, Work is a party. Kiss It Better is very sensual and probably my favorite visual from Anti. And Needed Me gave us a storyline with an expected, much deserved ending, okay? But apart from the visuals, some of my favorite songs on the album, I mean, if it's a no skip album, why do we have favorite? We have favorites, okay? So, of course, Kiss It Better, Woo. Now, I have to have a slight little debate with y'all. I like Love on the Brain. I really do. But I think I prefer Higher over Love on the Brain. And I believe Higher is really an interlude because we get interludes throughout the album that kind of help us change within the storyline. I don't know. This whiskey got me feeling pretty. So pardon if I'm impolite. Like the writing of that song, it sounds like she wrote it while she was on drinking some whiskey, okay? I think I if I had to pick higher versus Love on the Brain, I think I would pick higher. But I want to hear from y'all. What would y'all pick? Are y'all sticking with Love on the Brain or are you going higher? Question. And then of course, we get the ending of the album, Sex with Me. Whoo! That's an anthem, okay? I don't care what nobody says. That's an anthem, all right? That when you want to feel yourself, when you getting ready. Listen, I'm recording this on Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there, or happy belated, because by the time this comes out, it'll be over. But if you have somebody to celebrate with, play this song, okay? Play this song. If not, play it for yourself. Have a little self-care me day, do you. But that song is just an anthem, in my opinion. And then lastly, I really, really love Desperado. And Desperado was my introduction to SZA. And I loved her voice and wanted to hear more from her. So naturally, the next no skip album is Ctrl. This came out in 2017. It was her debut album that showed us who she was and what we were going to get from her, and sort of, in my opinion, opened up this alternative R&B sound influenced with these elements of neo soul and hip hop and indie pop. And it's really stripped down and basic, but not in a bad way. Production wise, it highlights her intimate vocal delivery and vulnerable songwriting. Lyrically, throughout the album, SZA offers deeply personal reflections on love, heartbreak, self-esteem, and growing pains. And I would say that that's just her brand. I feel like even with SOS, we kind of got more of that, even more so. The voice memo from her mom and I'm assuming grandma really showcase how she's grown and the wisdom she's taken from the ones that she loves and who loves her and cares about her. The confessional style and conversational tone make the album really resonate for me in this like diary like exploration of young adulthood. I believe in my research, I found that she was inspired by the concept of relinquishing control to gain self awareness. And she uses this album to explore life's uncertainties in a warm, atmospheric sound that mirrors the album's introspective themes. Now, of course, we've got some notable tracks such as Love Galore featuring Travis Scott. But I will argue, I know we all were patiently waiting, patiently, waiting for the alternate version that she dropped on IG a few years later, which she, of course, then put on the deluxe. Love that version. Some other songs were The Weeknd, that really, really set her and put her on the map, I believe. And then Broken Clocks, which really helped. All of these songs really gave her that significant attention, and each delving into complex relationships and personal introspection. Now, of course, the music videos, I'll just go through a few because she really did a music video for almost pretty much every single song, almost. So, Garden, Say It Like That, is green and features Donald Glover. Doves in the Wind is a kung fu lesson with Kung Fu Kenny himself. Kind of feels like a precursor to the Kill Bill music video. Broken Clocks is kind of like a day at camp. Think Lindsay Lohan Parent Trap, but a grown-up version. The Weekend is different outfits and a sultry dance and beautifully shot. And she shot these visuals for a lot of other songs, so I definitely would say go check them out. And I think that's another reason why I really like SZA. She takes from other art and repurposes them. So like songs like Drew Barrymore, the camp, you know, the Parent Trap, you know, all those things. Kill Bill, like she uses film, and I love that about her. Some of my favorite songs on the album are Doves in the Wind, The Weekend, of course, Go Gina, Go Gina, Wavy, and I can't forget 20 something. Now, I love her sophomore album, and I love the deluxe of Lana that she gave us. And she even gave us a little bit more after the Super Bowl. And I think she's great at making her fans wait for an album. However, another artist that made us wait and break down the internet when she dropped was Jaguar 2 by Victoria Monet. This came out recently in 2023. Highly anticipated album. Jaguar 2 was a follow-up to her 2020 EP Jaguar. This project continues the journey she started, merging velvety R&B, sultry funk, and disco grooves into this cohesive statement of self-assured artistry. Jaguar 2 blends retro-inspired funk and these disco elements with this like modern R&B production, showcasing Monet's rich vocals and a knack for the catchy yet sophisticated melodies that she gets us. She definitely draws a lot of inspiration from the 70s and the 80s. And I always think about like the horns and these groovy bass lines and of course the layered harmonies. But she maintains a very sleek and contemporary sound. She does a beautiful job of modernizing the oldies, okay? Yes, the soul for the show for the old souls with the fresh takes. That is essentially what Victoria Monet does. I believe she would be an amazing guest one day. I would love to get guests on this show one day. So manifesting. But lyrically, the album explores themes of empowerment, sensuality, personal growth, and the celebration of self. Her writing style highlights her confidence as an artist and a woman navigating love, motherhood, and ambition. I remember watching some of her interviews, and she was talking about how she wrote on My Mama because, you know, postpartum was hard and she just wasn't feeling like herself. She wasn't feeling pretty. And then one day she was like, nah, in her most Taurus way. Nah. And we gotta fix this. So, and it shows, and she did really well because the music video, stellar, okay? Stellar performance. And then having all the generations, like her mama, herself, and her baby. Hazel is so freaking cute. Ugh. But as far as some other music videos, Smoke, it sounds like it's a celebration. All right, really, there's not much to say. This is probably the best visual of 2024. And if you haven't seen it, please go watch it urgently after you finish watching this. But overall, her music videos and even her visualizers for this album were even cohesive brand wise and, stayed within the theme of her 70s branding that she pulls off really, really well. She has some standout tracks, some standout moments, of course. Smoke, of course, featuring Lucky Day, and Party Girls featuring Buju Banton. I pray I'm saying that right. They really helped her to gain this particular attention for like these infectious hooks and vibrant energy, while, more introspective cuts highlight her range both as a vocalist and a lyricist. Now, some of my favorite songs are Smoke, All Right, Cadillac, A Pimp's Anthem. She said, "You see us ladies." Love that song. Another song I really like is Stop, Asking Me for Shh, Stop. Love that song. I remember I was playing that in the car with my mama. She didn't know what to think, but she was like, "Oh, okay." And I just have to give it a little bit more praise before we move on to the next one. It's just so cohesive. Everything sounds like a collective piece, but also every song stands out on its own. It's truly a masterpiece. And that is why it made it on the list for no skips. I love this album. And another album that is a cohesive no skip for me is Kiki Deluxe by Kiana Ledé. This came out in 2020. So for me, I feel like it kind of got pushed under the rug just a little bit because it came out in 2020. But it's Kiana Ledé's debut studio album, and she's blending modern R&B with pop and soul, and she's highlighting these very emotive vocals and introspective songwriting. And that's really a collective theme with all of these albums. All of them are pretty much very introspective. And I think that's what makes a great album, in my opinion. You have to go deep within. You have to be able to be vulnerable, because that's, other than sex, I think for me, that's what really sells. Like, if people can relate to the stories that you're telling, I think you have an audience for life. I do. And of course, the production is very sleek, very intimate, very, very moody, yet polished, okay? The album itself, we dive into themes of love, heartbreak, self-discovery, and empowerment, again, on theme with the rest of these albums. And through this relatable storytelling, she explores these romantic ups and downs while emphasizing personal growth and self-worth. She titled this album after her nickname. She titled this album after her nickname, Kiki, which of course reflects her personal experiences and vulnerability and her overall desire to share her story. She is cited in her own relationships and challenges as the central inspiration, aiming to offer honesty and authenticity. Of course, music videos, she didn't really make any or that many because it was 2020, which again is a shame. And I just feel like she missed her moment, I think, in that sense, to really blow up because it was 2020. And I feel like it didn't get the fair shake. Because in my opinion, she's still pretty underrated as an artist. But I think Mad at Me is a fun vibe, and her girls are with her. And then Chocolate is cute because they used FaceTime to film it, and they let it be the way it was meant to be, because there was little glitches in the video, but it didn't even matter or mess up or take you out of the video. Some of her standout tracks that people really like from this album collectively are, of course, Chocolate featuring Ari Lennox, Crazy, which received special attention for its memorable melodies and raw lyrics. And even some reviewers highlighted the album's cohesive flow and smooth production style. Some of my favorite songs, I have quite a lot: Ladylike, Chocolate, Movin', Forfeit. That song, I think if it were a vinyl, scratched, I would have had to buy a new one. Mad at Me is another one I really like. Crazy, Plenty More, Honest, Feel Away, Separation. Like, when I tell you this is a no skip album for me, baby, it is a no skip album, okay? But now, last but not least, our fifth and final no skip album on my list is from an artist who always surprises me and pushes boundaries, and that is Something to Give Each Other by Troye Sivan. This came out in 2023. It was his third studio album, 5 years after the release of Bloom. And Bloom almost made it on the list, but I did a compare and contrast, and I was like, okay, no, I think it's this one. But the album, it really marks this like fresh, celebratory tune of his artistry, and really showcases this dancey pop vibe and production, and again, introspective lyrics, and this liberating sense of joy. Like, even talking about the album, I'm just joyful. It's just, when I think of that album, I just think of a good time, okay? Something to Give Each Other fuses these like upbeat electronic and like pop elements with, his dreamy, dreamy vocals, and it just creates this vibrant dance floor, ready to get into it atmosphere. Now, of course, the album itself explores themes of self-discovery, sensuality, and communal celebration. Celebrating as one, being together. Because when you think about dance music and you think about a dance floor and you're vibing, you're all dancing to one song collectively and you're having a good time. Ugh, this album, so good. Troye has described it in interviews as a reflection on connection and this euphoria of embracing life's pleasures. Some of the tracks delve into the highs of romance, friendship, and finding freedom in new experiences. He has also mentioned that the album was inspired by a transformative period in his life: post-pandemic liberation, new relationships, and a renewed sense of self. He really wanted to capture the thrill of sharing authentic experiences with others. And I'm so grateful for this album. I'll briefly touch on some of the music videos. Got me started. Sexy cinematography and amazingly, amazingly fun choreo. One of your girls, baby. Okay, she's gorgeous. She's giving you all that she can. And that's really all I have to say about that music video. Go check it out. And Rush is just a vibe. It pushes boundaries and its sexual tension is flipping high. Okay? High through the roof. All right? Some of the standout tracks are singles like Rush and, of course, Got Me Started. And this is really where the attention and acclaim for their like catchy choruses and vibrant music videos really came from, and like reflecting on the album's overall theme of celebration and connection. Now, some of my favorite tracks are, of course, Rush, What's the Time Where You Are, In My Room, vibe, Still Got It, Honey, and How to Stay With You. I think the album is like 30 something minutes. It's not long at all, but it's a no skip. It's a repeat. It's all of the above. Overall, these no skip albums really showcase growth and self exploration, and that's what really draws me into it as an artist. Lyrically, aside from the sonics and the grooves that make me move. Okay. I have so many other no skip albums, so I think I will do a part 2 in the future. So if you have any albums that interest you, or even if you've never heard of some of these albums, I implore you to go check them out, and please let me know what you think, and let me know too, what are some of your no skip albums? I'm dying to know. So let me know in the comments below. And as we wrap up today, I just want to say thank you so, so much for hanging in there with me. And I, of course, have not forgotten about our question of the day. So, just a reminder, as if is a famous line from what movie? Is it Pretty Woman, Never Been Kissed, Clueless, or Jerry Maguire? If you picked Clueless, you would be correct. As if, I had to say it. I had to say it like that. It's just, how can you not? It's a great film. And if you haven't seen it, please go urgently. What is it? Alicia Silverstone and Brittany Murphy. Brittany Murphy, gone too soon. But that's a wrap, oldies. Thank you so much for joining me on That Old Soul Show for the Old Souls with Fresh Takes. If you loved today's episode, please, please be sure to subscribe and leave a review and share it with a fellow old soul. And I will see y'all in the next one. Bye for now, oldies.